It's just after 1 a.m. on the morning of the 23rd of October last year, Grays, Essex. Police are responding to a 999 call from a lorry driver from Northern Ireland called Maurice Robinson. He's just opened up the back of his lorry and there are 39 bodies inside.
There's loads of them. There's immigrants in the back, but they're all lying on the ground.
Okay, are they breathing?
I don't think so.
They're not breathing?
Don't think so, no.
Before the 999 call, before the police arrived, Robinson parked up, opened the back of the container for the first time. And when he did, a vapour escaped. A cloud of hopes and dreams evaporated. Scores of mobile phones were found inside with the bodies. Pham Thi Tra My was 26. This is her story. Who was she? Why was she inside the lorry? And who was paid what to put her there? A few weeks before her fatal trip, she visited the Bana Hills Golden Bridge in central Vietnam. Her two passions, travel and fashion. Like many millennials, there was a disconnect, though, between the life she projected online and the one she actually lived. But according to her father, everything else about her was completely authentic.
Anh nói sơ qua về em là Tham Thi từ khi sinh ra lớn từ nhỏ lớn lên thì cháu ngoan hiền lắm.
We first met Tra My's mother and father last year, just after their daughter's body was found in the lorry in Essex. The family is not particularly poor by the standards of their hometown in the province of Ha Tin, central Vietnam, but they had got into some serious debt. The expectation that every family member contributes to the family's collective wealth. So Tra My volunteered to go to the UK to work in a nail bar.
Con bé Tra My nữa, anh nói như bố mẹ già yếu rồi. Cháu lúc nào anh cũng nghĩ cho gia đình.
The average monthly salary in this region is the equivalent to £100. Her family told us she expected to earn £1,600 a month in the UK. So even with the enormous smuggling fee they were about to pay, the money sent back would have been a fortune.
7 bị cáo trong vụ án gồm.
So they turned to these people. A few months ago, 4 Vietnamese were sentenced for brokering the smuggling package that Tra My's family paid for. One of the men was even related by marriage to them. Tra My had been to places like Japan before, but this was different. On the 3rd of October last year, she left her hometown in a car. For the 26-year-old, an awfully big adventure. On her way out, past the big houses built by remittances from the UK. So how much did the family pay, and for what? They mortgaged land and opted for the most expensive smuggling package for their daughter, the most direct route. Tra My travelled by car and bus to China. The Vietnamese network organised a fake Chinese passport and tourist visa. She told her family she'd spent 10 days in China, then flew directly to Paris. Usually, though, smuggling routes go through Russia or Turkey, then overland to France and Belgium. The family told us they'd paid the equivalent of £16,000 for this leg alone, even photographed the bundle of US dollars they'd handed over once she'd arrived in Paris on the 16th of October. The final fatal leg of Tra My's journey cost an extra £14,000, Paris to London. It would be paid on arrival via the Vietnamese network to 2 other criminal gangs working together. First up, the Irish. This is the townland of Tai Holland, County Monaghan, a world away from Ha Tin, Vietnam. It's where Ronan Hughes lived, the logistics man, who in August pleaded guilty to, among other things, 39 counts of manslaughter. He supplied the drivers and the lorries to pick up the Vietnamese in France. Ronan Hughes started transporting illegal cigarettes and alcohol, gradually graduated up to the most lucrative consignments of all, people. His career ended transporting bodies. Retired Garda Superintendent Fergus Traynor knows the borderlands and the Hughes operation inside out.
Basically, it's just about the product and the movement of that product.
So they're kind of wheels for hire, basically. They're the logistics arm of this.
Absolutely. I wouldn't say that Ronan Hughes has any particular allegiance to any particular gang. It's about, as I say, the movement of product.
The so-called product was Tra My and the others, at this point holed up in Paris. The majority stayed here, a safe house provided by Vietnamese brokers.
Le gestionnaire du lieu de passage, c'est lui qui organise toute la remontée de ces migrants vers le nord de la France et leur chargement dans les camions vers la Grande-Bretagne. Donc ils ont un rôle, voilà, c'est pour ça que...
On the 22nd of October, Tra My and the others were picked up by a fleet of taxis and driven north. Others travelled from Brussels and Dunkirk. The rendezvous point with the Irish lorry drivers was Béarn, and this farm just outside the village.
À ce niveau, il y a le mur, ils étaient juste derrière.
An eyewitness told us what happened that morning on a condition of anonymity.
5 bonnes minutes plus tard, est débarqué un camion blanc frigorifique. Il s'est arrêté juste là, ici. Les personnes sont sorties de la grange en courant. Ils sont montés, les 9 sont montés. Le camion est parti.
The others got on board close by. At least one person arrived late and missed the lorry that was to become an articulated coffin. The driver was Eamon Harrison, one of Ronan Hughes's men. This was a well-oiled machine. The gang had successfully smuggled people into the UK throughout October. It appears they were doing it on a near weekly basis.
Nous, son réseau, ce que je peux vous dire, c'est que il était actif depuis plusieurs années. Nous, dans le cadre de nos surveillances, il y avait au moins un passage ou une tentative de passage par semaine. Donc ça, c'est le minimum. Donc ça fait à peu près au moins une cinquantaine par an sur ce réseau-là. Donc sachant qu'il y a d'autres réseaux.
The sky over this farm was probably the last natural light that Tra My and the 38 others ever saw. The lorry's refrigeration unit was switched off. The numbers of people had been doubled up. So the oxygen started running out and the temperature started to rise the moment the doors closed. At around 10:40, Harrison's truck leaves Béarn for Belgium. A few hours later he arrives in the port of Zeebrugge, drops the trailer off, ready to be loaded onto the cargo ship, the Clementine. It's now 26 degrees inside and there's 10 hours to go before Maurice Robinson was due to let them out on the other side. If those inside had made it alive to Britain, we know what would have happened next. CCTV recorded a previous successful smuggling attempt, which brings us to the other criminal gang, the middlemen, liaising with the Vietnamese and the Irish, the Romanians.
There is evidence that George Nicker and other Romanian and Albanian crime groups were working in Europe with potentially with Vietnamese crime groups in a large-scale smuggling operation that led to the people being brought to our shores.
Back in Zeebrugge on the 23rd of October, it's just before 3 p.m. and the container is loaded onto the Clementine. Half an hour later, the ship sets sail on its 8-hour crossing and the claustrophobic nightmare continues in earnest. By the time the container is halfway across the North Sea, the temperature is approaching 38 degrees. People are panicking. Tra My tries to call her family 6 times but can't get through. And she is not alone. Gwendin Luong, who's 20, tries to send a video message. Some try in vain to break out using a metal pole inside. Gwen Tu Tuan, 25, tries to message his wife and children. Bloody marks inside the container suggest people trying to claw their way out. Tra My also tries to message her parents. It ends, "I'm dying because I can't breathe. I'm sorry, Mum." By the time the container is unloaded at Purfleet, Tra My and the others are dead. Maurice Robinson collects the container. Soon afterwards, his boss, Ronan Hughes, messages him, "Give them some air, but don't let them out." A police forensics drawing shows the positions of the bodies inside. Among them, a 15-year-old boy, a married couple, twins, and Tra My. Although her life ended in darkness, some solace in the fact that it was a life full of fresh air and light.